Salvete omnes. This is Abbey Latin Liber Primus. This is Review 2, chapters 5 through 8. Morphology, Exercise G. In this exercise, we are to synopsize the following verbs, providing the Latin forms for each of the tenses and English translations for each of those Latin verb forms. And we will start with narro, narrare, narravi, narratus. To tell, to relate, to narrate, like a narrator tells a story. We want the first person singular. So first person singular. So we want the first person singular for each one of the three tenses. So the I form for each of the 6 Latin tenses. First, you need to know the 4 principal parts, narro, narrave, narravi, narratus. If you don't know those principal parts, then you can't correctly conjugate the verb. So for the present first person singular, that is just the first principal part. That is his only job, to go right there. Narro, narro, I tell. I am telling. I do tell. The O tells you that first person singular, I am doing the action in the present tense, present time. For the imperfect and the future tenses, these 3 tenses, they are formed from the present stem. So otherwise than the first person singular, if this were first person plural or second person singular plural or third person singular plural, it would use the present stem like the imperfect and the future do. So go to the second principal part, chop off the RE, and you get the present stem nara. Nara. The only reason this is narro right here is the first principal part is because this is the first person singular. If it were any other person or number for the present tense, we would use the same present stem nara, only we would add s, t, mus, tis, und. Here we have narro, which is the same as the first principal part. So we have the present stem nara, you add the imperfect tense marker ba, and then because this is first person singular, we add mst, mus, tis, und, the personal endings. We add the M for first person singular, and we get narabam, narabam. I was telling. I used to tell. For the future, the tense marker for most forms is bi, bi. The third person plural is bunt, but the first person singular is bo, narabo, narabo. I will tell. I shall tell. So the present, the imperfect, and the future tenses use the present stem of the verb. Second principal part, chop off the RE. Now the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect tenses, you go to the third principal part, and you chop off the I to get the perfect stem. The perfect stem is naraw, naraw. Now for the perfect tense, we add the perfect tense personal endings to this perfect stem to get the form. The perfect tense personal endings are I isti it, imus istis erunt. So we add the first person singular I, letter I, narawi, narawi, and that means I told or I have told. 2 tenses crammed into 1. For the pluperfect, get the perfect stem, use the tense marker era and the personal ending to get narawaram, I had told. You can also think of it as this is the imperfect of sum, added as an ending to the perfect stem. By that same logic, future perfect, you should expect the future of sum added to the perfect stem. Be careful though, the third person plural is erint. The endings for the future perfect are ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritis, erint. This is narawero. I will have told. I shall have told. Narawero. Optime. That is a synopsis of the 6 tenses for naro, narare, narawi, naratus, to tell. Let's go on to libero, liberare, liberavi, liberatus in the third person singular. So the present, the imperfect, and the future tenses will use the present stem, second principal part, chop off the re, whereas the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect tenses will use the perfect stem, third principal part, chop off the I. So for the present, we have libera, libera, plus the third person singular t ending, ost, musste sunt. So the present tense third person singular is liberat, liberat. He, she, it frees. He, she, it is freeing. The imperfect adds the tense marker ba. So libera plus ba plus t. Liberabat, liberabat. He, she, it was freeing. He, she, it used to free. The future tense, the present stem is libera. Add the tense marker be. Endings are bo, bis, bit. Bimus, bitis, bunt. So bit. Liberabit, liberabit. He, she, it will free, will set free. As said before, the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect will use the perfect stem, third principal part minus the letter I, liberab. So liberab, with a V, w, add the perfect tense personal endings, isti it, imus istis erunt, we get liberavit, liberavit. He, she, it freed. He, she, it has freed. He, she, it did free. The pluperfect uses that same perfect stem, liberab. The tense marker is era, and then the personal ending t, so erat. You can also think of it as the imperfect of sum as the ending. So liberaverat, liberaverat. He, she, it had freed. And future perfect, same perfect stem, liberab, and then you add endings ero, eris, eret, ermus, eritis, erent. The tense marker is ere, plus the personal endings, except for the first person singular ero. So liberaveret, liberaveret. He, she, it will have freed. He, she, it will have set free. Optime. Occupo, occupare, occupavi, occupatus. Third person plural. So we want the third person plural for each one. The present stem will be occupa, second principal part minus the re. Occupa goes here, occupa goes here, and occupa goes here. The perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect use the third principal part. Chop off the I to get occupav with the V, occupav. Write occupav for the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect. Now we just add endings, personal endings, and tense markers. So for the third person plural, for the present tense, the endings are ost, mustis, und, nt for third person plural. So occupant, occupant, they seize, they are seizing, they do seize, capture, occupy. Present tense, present time. For the imperfect, add the ba, occupabant, occupabant, ba before the unt, occupabant. They were seizing, they used to seize, in the past, over and over again. The future is occupabunt, occupabunt. The endings for the future are bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitis, bunt, B-U-N-T, occupabunt. They will seize, they shall seize. They is third person plural. For the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect, third principal part, chop off the I, occupab. Hopefully you already wrote that. So occupaverunt, 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 accent on the erunt, occupaverunt. They seized, they have seized, captured, or occupied. Make sure you know both translations. Ed and have ed. Pluperfect. Occupab, era, und, occupaverant, occupaverant. They had seized. And the future perfect, occupaverent, occupaverent. Erent is the ending, occupaverent. They will have seized. Sto, stare, steti, status, second person plural, so ye or y'all, second person plural. That's going to be our English translation. The present imperfect and future form from the present stem. Second principal part, chop off the re. That's sta. That's the present stem. Second principal part, chop off the re. Sta, sta, sta. So make sure you write sta as the stem for the present, the imperfect, and the future. For the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect, go to the third principal part, steti, and you chop off the I to get the perfect stem. Stet, stet, and stet. Now we just add tense markers and endings. For the present stem, no tense marker, you just add the personal ending, because it's second person plural. O-S-T, mus, tis. Tis is the second person plural, ye or y'all. So, statis, statis. Ye stand, ye are standing, ye do stand, y'all are standing. The imperfect adds the tense marker ba, so stabatis, stabatis. Ye were standing, ye used to stand. The future is stabitis, stabitis, stabitis. Ye will stand, ye shall stand. Notice the perfect is stet. Perfect stem is stet, not stav. It's not stawi, chop off the I, sta, but this is steti, chop off the I, stet, stet. So statistis, e isti it, imus istis, erunt statistis. Ye stood, ye have stood. The pluperfect, add the tense marker era and then tis. Steteratus, steteratus, ye had stood. And the future perfect, steteritus, steteritus, ye will have stood. And finally, sum esse fui futurus, your favorite irregular friend. It's totally regular in the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect, provided you know the third principal part is fui. You chop off the I. So the perfect stem is going to be fu, F-U, F-U, and F-U. Stop giggling. Now, for the present, imperfect, and future, those are irregular forms. So you have to memorize those. Sum esse fui futurus. The present tense of sum is sum es est. Sumus estis sunt. Because we want the second person singular, we want s, es, s. You are. Thou art. You are being. For the imperfect, you have to memorize it. It's eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, erant. You want the second person singular, eras. You were being. Thou wert. I'm not a wart. Future is ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritis, erunt. E-R-U-N-T, erunt. This is eris. Eris, E-R-I-S. You will be. You shall be. Now, as said before, the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect. Fu, I pity him. Fuisti, e isti it, imus istis erunt are the endings for the perfect tense. So fuisti, you were, you have been. The pluperfect is fueras. You had been. And the future perfect would be fueres. You will have been. Optime. That is the end of exercise G. You are now ready to move on to exercise H. Valete omnes.